Hello, students. Um, Welcome to the first introductory video of ArcGIS, in which, in this session, I'll be demonstrating the very first introduction about the ArcMap. As all you remember, we have been discussing about ArcGIS, which actually comprises of a lot of topics, uh, and of course, GIS. Is actually a broad concept which actually uses different sorts of tools in order to analyze different types of geographical informations. Uh, Out of the different tools that actually are important or tools for the applications of GIS is ArcGIS, uh, which is actually an easy product. It's a very powerful tool, which of course you need a licensed GIS software, a full package comprising of different components of ArcGIS. And of course, I'm going to show you what are the full components and of course the installed part of GIS. And on our today's session, I'm going to demonstrate for you the very first introductory part of ArcMap, in which we are going to use some files in order to see how this ArcMap actually works. And of course, I'm going to introduce you the very important interface of ArcMap, which you need to know in order to access different tools and manage your data on the platform. If you already have the installed version of ArcGIS, you can access it from Start menu and go to All Programs. Then you can access from ArcGIS, in which you can see whether if it's a full package or not. You can see here it's actually installed. We do have our catalog and ArcGlobe, ArcMap, ArcSeed. We do have different sorts of ArcGIS applications here, which you might be interested to use for different aspects of data analysis in the field of study. Uh, of course, I hope you remember that GIS is actually a very broad concept, which actually is applicable for different sorts of fields of study. Therefore, in this particular session, we are going to focus only on the application of GIS in our field of study, where we can apply some of the powerful tools of ArcGIS in the water supply system. Therefore, yeah, stay tuned and we'll go through all the procedures that we have been covering in the classroom so that you might be familiar with these topics if you are actually, if you forgot them, so that this stay home effect of this coronavirus maybe is a good opportunity for you to revise back what we have covered in the lab sessions. Therefore, you can access it here, or you can go through different systems. For example, you can go to Start menu, then you'll go to Computers and Program Files, and you can run it from the C. But you can just open it right here from Start menu. We'll go to ArcGIS and search for ArcMap. Therefore, now it's actually opening. I'm going to use ArcGIS 10.3 version. Uh, the version is actually important for you, but uh, if you are just familiar with one version of ArcGIS, it's very easy to use the next version. But it's very important it's very important to make sure that you have very licensed and uh, working properly software so that you might not get some interruptions, especially when you are dealing with some very powerful spatial analysis tools in the GIS platform. Okay, when you open ArcGIS, you will come across with this interface. This is the total interface of ArcGIS or ArcMap, the component of ArcMap. This is the page. When you open it, it actually has this window will pop up with the interface of ArcMap, ArcGIS, ArcMap. Uh, Here is actually it's a very this window, this small window that actually pops up with the ArcMap is just to make sure you have access to previously open files, or if you don't have any recently open file, or if you don't have any previously accessed GIS file recently, you might not find them here, but instead you might be invited with a blank or untitled file like this one. Doesn't matter, but you can just close it and go to a new file, or go to your analysis directly by adjusting the important parameters, which I'm going to show you later on. Uh, but just to for ease of access, what ArcMap actually does is whenever you try to open ArcMap, it actually shows you if you have these previously worked files, so that you can open them right away. So it might save you time. Anyway, let's just close it. And yeah, this is the interface of ArcMap. Here, as you can see, we do have a lot of titles up here, actually the menu bar, and which you can see we can have the files, the edit, the view, the bookmark, inserts, sections, geoprocessing, customized windows. A lot of stuffs are here. We'll go through them when we are proceeding to the upcoming tutorials. But most importantly, whenever you open ArcMap, please make sure that you have this very important toolbars uh, that are available here. Especially whenever you open ArcMap, it's very important to make sure you do have these standard toolbars. Standard toolbars are there very important. These are standard toolbars which are actually uh, very important. They are of course user-friendly interfaces which you actually know them. You can see, for example, when you just point to the icons, it actually shows you what they stand for. For example, you have this new, you can open, you can save, you can print, you can add file. We'll see how it works. Yeah, we do have a lot of toolbars. You can have a lot of toolbars, but um, if, for example, let's say if you don't find these standard toolbars, and if you don't have any other toolbars here, okay, if you just don't have any toolbars like this one, therefore that doesn't mean your GIS is not working. For example, you might find it tricky. For example, if you open ArcMap in a new computer, or on a computer which you are not familiar with in previous works, and if you just encounter such a thing having only the menu bars and not the toolbars, therefore just don't get confused. You can just access them easily by right clicking on the any blank space like this. Just right click and you can find all the toolbars that you missed from the upper section of your ArcMap. Therefore, for example, if I want to open the standard toolbars, I'll just right click on here and look for the standard toolbars. I do have standard toolbars. I'll put them here somewhere. Yes. Next, I can, for example, if I just want to have other tools like tools, it's very important tools. Here you have tools, course. Therefore, maybe if in the next times, if you need some editor toolbars, you can activate editor toolbars. Therefore, as you can see here, we do have large number of toolbars available here. Therefore, for example, if we just activate tools or toolbar of every section or every aspect here, therefore your working space might be will get very smaller. Therefore, you might not have enough area in order to view what you are actually working on here in the working space. Therefore, it's important to optimize the space and determine which tools you are going to use. Therefore, it's quite important for you to understand what type of tools or toolbars that you are actually in need of. And of course, you want to access rapidly from here. Therefore, by making sure, by doing so, you might your toolbar, your area or your work area will not be congested, and of course, it will be nice to see. And the other part, which is very important, is the display section of ArcMap. It is a table of content. This one. This table of content is a very important part of your display, which actually shows you the data or the different files that are actually open in your working space. It actually is presented here as a layer. Okay, therefore, whenever whatever file is you are viewing here will be displayed in the table of content. Therefore, it's important just to navigate through the files that you are working on the GIS platform so that you might not get lost about which, and of course, it actually gives you a very user-friendly platform just to manage your files in order to just open one and turn off the other one. Therefore, I'll show you how it works, but make sure that you have this table of content is not missing from your display sections. Therefore, what if you just don't have it like this? Okay, whenever you open ArcMap on new computer, you might not find it here. For example, if it is missing here, that doesn't mean your GIS or your ArcMap is not working properly. It means that it's actually turned off. Therefore, you have to turn it on so that you can access it here. How we are going to do that? We just go to Windows, then activate table of content. Before, just drag it here, put it here. You can resize it. Of course, do it like this one. For you can do it like this. For so now we have positioned the table of content. Therefore, here you have the layer, and here we have the working space. Here we have the other toolbox like the drawing toolbox, and of course other toolbox here. Therefore, I'll show you how it works um, in the exercise that we're going to do today. Okay. Um, Now I'm going to show you how we can open a file on ArcMap and do some sort of data manipulation and see what's actually embedded in the data. For this particular exercise, I'm going to use a georeferenced or spatially referenced shapefile, meaning I hope you remember in the classroom we have discussed that GIS actually understands things that you are going to open in the platform as geographic objects. Uh, GIS doesn't understand, for example, if you have, for example, a map of Addis Ababa or a map of Arba Minch or a map of anywhere, for example, in Ethiopia. GIS doesn't understand it like we do as humans, as if it is Addis Ababa or whether it's Ethiopia or no, it's not. It doesn't work like that. Therefore, GIS only understands objects by their coordinate system or by their defined coordinate system. In the classroom, we have covered that we do have these two types of coordinate system, geographic coordinate system and projected or projected coordinate system, in which we do have a lot of units for those types of measurements. Therefore, it's those measurements that GIS actually understands, and anything that you open on ArcMap is considered to be a geographic object. Therefore, those geographic objects, in order to be understood by ArcMap, they need to have their geographic information or they need to be spatially referenced, meaning they need to have their locations defined in their respective category, whether it is WGS coordinate system or UTM coordinate system, call it whatever you want, but the coordinate system or the spatial reference should be defined. In this exercise, hope you remember this example in our classroom. Uh, in this exercise, I'm going to demonstrate you by using a shapefile or a vector data of somewhere in the Netherlands, which is actually geographically referenced or it has spatial information. Therefore, we are going to open that file on this ArcMap. Then we'll do some sort of uh, data manipulation and what type of informations are actually embedded in it. For example, so let's proceed. I will just click on add file. Therefore, I do have my file in my desktop. Uh, Therefore, if you remember, whenever you want to open a file on ArcMap, just will click on add map or add file. Okay, add file. Then we'll search for the file that contains our required file destination. Therefore, for example, my file is actually on the desktop. Okay, uh, the desktop is here. Okay, see how the file, okay, path actually goes here. It means, of course, you remember, it actually is, for example, here c dot dot backslash, have this file path. Therefore, the end is desktop. This actually is here because I was using this storage area frequently. But what if you don't have this, for example, if you don't have this uh, file passage or data passage here, like this one, in your add data window pop-up. Therefore, if it's like that, therefore what we have to do is we just click on connect to folder. Okay, we'll just click on connect to folder. Therefore, we'll search for example, like here in this PC, you can open. Therefore, my file is on desktop. Then I'll click the data path desktop. Then click on OK. Then automatically the desktop will be added here. Okay. Therefore, I'm going to search for my folder. Here my file. Therefore, open file. So here's the introduction part. Therefore, these are the three different file formats. Okay, therefore, this is somewhere in the Netherlands. Anyway, let's add, for example, one file. Let's say the Netherlands. This is the shape file of the Netherlands. Now it's added. Therefore, uh, this is the shape file of the Netherlands. We have the map presented here. Of course, we have single color representation. Therefore, we can do a lot of manipulations here. And of course, we can see what type of information is actually here. Uh, we'll go through that in a few minutes. But what we can do is, for example, when you add a file, any geographic file or any geographic object onto the working space, therefore, these things are now, we can use them, these toolbars. For example, whenever you want to zoom into some area, just click on zoom in like this, you can zoom in. If you just want to zoom out, you can just zoom out like this. Okay? Zoom out like this. But when we add this file in the first place, it's not in this shape. Therefore, when we zoom in, zoom out, and do some sort of movement on the working area, the size is actually altered or changed. Therefore, if you just want to bring it to the full extent, just click on full extent, like this one. And the icon is, of course, changed because we just clicked on the different zoom icons. Therefore, we can just click on this arrow and we can return it back to normal. But still, for example, if you just feel this file is somewhat altered in shape, meaning on the view, okay, not on the other aspects, but it's on the view. If you feel it like if it's changed like this one, then the other way around to adjust it, just right click on the layer, then go to zoom to layer. If you just click on zoom to layer, it brings the map to its original preview, original preview. Okay, therefore you can have a lot of informations within the full information or the full visualization can be achieved. The other thing is, for example, you can, if you just want to, for example, like here, if you just close it to the letter I icon here, it actually represents identify. Therefore, it means you can identify or you can have some random information out of this platform, of this file, just by using this icon. For example, I just click on this identify, then if I just click on here, it actually shows some information about this polygon or some information about this area. Therefore, you can now, without going in depths, you can have random simple informations about this area. Therefore, now it's changed. As you can see, the icon is changed from a single arrow to arrow with I button. Okay, therefore, you can just return back to normal like this one. Therefore, this is how it goes. For example, you can click on select feature. Okay, then if you just click on one icon, it actually shows select some icons, some polygons which have the same information or identical information about the selected one. For example, here, if you just click on here, you can find another one, you can find another one. Just, but as the previous one, for example, as the previous one, when we click on the I button, it actually gives you some information summary on the screen. But in this case, not. So how you can have, for example, if you just want to see what this selected area actually is represented in the GIS, then we'll go to the layer name, is the Netherlands, and we right click, and we'll open the attribute table. It's a very important part of the file, or it's the information which is actually embedded in this map. Okay, therefore, if you just click on attribute table, therefore this is information which is basically embedded or which is actually stored in this geographic data, meaning this file which is actually presented on the screen have informations of these things. For example, here the province. Okay, here you have the names, some informations. Okay, informations about the polygon. For the provinces, for example, you have different source of information. Of course, it's actually in Dutch, doesn't matter. But if you just want to understand what actually is embedded in a certain geographic object, the very first thing that you need to do is just check the attribute. Okay, therefore, coming to our selection, therefore, out of okay, out of the different, for example, here, the 12 out of the 12 polygons, okay, which are actually making the block of the Netherlands, the one which is selected here is actually this area, okay, this province. Therefore, the selected area actually represents this polygon with ID number 3, province code 23, and of course, here is the name. Okay, therefore, like this, you can access or you can read or have some information about the uh, geographic objects that you have actually selected. For once you are okay with that, and in order to clear this selection, we'll just click on clear selected area. Then we are okay. And now we go back to select items, and now the arrow is changing back to normal. Therefore, this is how we can add a file. Then the other thing is, for example, we have, for example, if we go back to the attribute, okay, we do have different, okay, provinces, or these are, for example, let's say here, for example, this polygon 27 is actually North Holland. You can see it, and the others we have their own names also. Okay, therefore, but here the color representation is one. Okay, and we don't know what is what here. Okay, for example, you might know, okay, for example, if you are working on a map or if you are working on a shape file of an area of your interest, you might know the area, you might know the name, you might know the different aspects of the things that you are working on, but for somebody else it might not be the same as you. Therefore, uh, you need to do some sort of manipulations and of course some sort of editing so that you can understand more about the area. For example, uh, if you just want to know which provinces or which provinces belongs to which name, okay, or which polygon belongs to which province. Therefore, we'll go to right click on the layer here, okay, right click on the layer. We'll go to properties, okay. Then here it might be selected anywhere else, but we'll go to symbology, okay. I'll go again, right click on the Netherlands or any file, okay. We'll go to the symbology properties. We'll go to, it might be selected anywhere else, but we'll click on symbology. It's a very powerful tool in GIS, which actually shows you, which actually does a lot of uh, data manipulations, especially in the advanced. For this simple exercise, it might seem very simple, but for a very big or for a very large data analysis, it's a very powerful tool which we actually apply it in different research and practical aspects. Therefore, here, the future, this map of the Netherlands, is presented only in a single color because it is represented in single symbol of one color. Okay, therefore we might categorize it, okay, into different colors according to whatever we want in the attribute. Therefore we'll go back. For example, if we just want to, here like this in the attribute, if we just want to categorize the areas or this map in terms of their province, okay, in terms of their province or in terms of their uh, provincial boundaries. Therefore, we have to use this province column in order to categorize the map. Therefore, just don't forget we are going to use this province. Okay, province. We're going to use it province in order to categorize those areas. Okay, then we'll go to right click, go to properties, we'll go to symbology, then categorize. We'll click on categorize. Okay, we click on categorize. Categorize in what? Okay, remember the table. We are going to categorize in terms of province. Okay, then we want to see only the provinces in different colors representations. Therefore, we'll just untick all other values so that only we are going to deal with the provinces only. Therefore, once we just select the attributes that we want to categorize, then we'll click on add all values. Okay, we'll click on add all values, then we'll click on apply, then okay. Okay, now the map is getting very interesting. Here we do have the provinces in different colors, but still you might be interested to see which areas actually are what. Okay, therefore, in order to do that, meaning if you just want to put labels or what this area represents, what this area represents, and what all areas represents, and of course, if you just want to display all the labels onto this differently categorized areas, what we have to do is we go to again right click the Netherlands, go to label features. Now it's actually is only the numbers, but it doesn't show you the exact names. Okay, therefore this process is not right. Therefore we'll go back again. Okay, in order to put the exact, okay, the exact labels or the exact meaning onto the map. Therefore we'll do the same as we do on the, okay, the categorization of the symbology. Therefore, we need to just untick the label features, okay, then go to right click and we'll go to again properties, okay, then we'll go to properties. Previously we were working on symbology, now we'll go to the labels. Okay, it's very important to do a lot of editing here. Please make sure you understand what we are doing here, because this label is actually very important part of your map analysis, especially when you prepare a printout of your output. Therefore, the labels, if they are not placed properly, uh, they actually create a lot of mess on the visualization and your final output. Therefore, what we are going to label on these features is their provincial names. Therefore, remember, we categorized these. Okay, this is a previous exercise on the symbology. We categorized by making use of their province. Therefore, we are going to label them, of course, with their province. Okay, therefore, we can select the province. Okay, therefore, we can have the symbology. We can have, for example, you can create it bold. You can make it bold. You can select the font size and anything. But the very important thing is the placement properties. You need to go to the placement properties so that you can fix how and where the labels should be presented. For example, here we do have options. For example, always horizontal. In some cases, if you just select always horizontal, therefore, whenever you have a very short polygon, okay, a very short polygon having some significant height. Therefore, if you put the label horizontally, therefore, the label may pass from one polygon to the other one, and of course, create some sort of label overlap. Therefore, it might not be pleasing to see that. And of course, always straight, it can't be like that. Therefore, we have to give GIS this ArcMap in order to decide. Therefore, here try horizontal first, then straight. Therefore, that actually gives ArcMap to decide how to put the labels. Here, GIS will try to put the labels horizontally, okay, first, then straight. Okay, we'll have different sorts of alternatives. And the other very important thing is in order to prevent okay messes, especially during the labels. For I'll come back to this one and of course show you again. For this, let's just finish first. Click on OK, click on apply, then OK. Okay, then what we have to do is just right click. We'll just right click here, and if just we click on label features, then see. Okay, the names are appearing here. The names are appearing. Yeah, it's quite okay. Okay, but in some cases you might have some overlaps or passes from the other one to the next one. Okay, therefore, for example, here see the label of North Holland. Therefore, the name is actually bigger than it seems. The name is bigger than the shape area. Therefore, it actually is not pleasing to see like this. Therefore, we'll go to back to the labels. Okay. Uh, yeah, we'll go back to the labels. Yeah, labels. Then we'll go back to placement properties. Then we selected try horizontal, then straight. Then we'll click only place labels inside a polygon. Okay, meaning GIS will not allow the label to just pass the polygon area and of course cross to the other neighboring polygons. Therefore, by that we can have some pleasing map. I think. Click on apply. Then okay. Now see. Therefore, yeah, now everything is actually contained within the polygon. Therefore, that doesn't mean these areas, for example, they don't have label. It doesn't mean like that. Therefore, just to see what areas are represented by this polygon, if just you zoom in, therefore you can see, okay? You can see what this area represents, what this area represents. Of course, if you just zoom in to some area, then you'll see. If again you zoom out, therefore, because the label is greater than somehow from the area covered by the shape. Therefore, you can have only those visible within the specified space. Therefore, this is just the introduction part to show you how we can do some sort of manipulations and, of course, do some very first impressions of uh, ArcMap. Therefore, this is one thing. Therefore, once you do this, you can just save it as a very first map. Okay, once you finish the thing, okay, if once you do something like this one, do some editing. Therefore, by the next classes or by next videos, I'm going to show you how to export, okay, what you have done here and onto different types of data format. For example, to prepare a different shapefile of yours, different a different shapefile having different output or different presentation of data. Therefore, I'll show you how to export those things. But for today's exercise, just let's save this file. Okay, let's save this file. Save as. Let's create. Yeah, let's create a new folder. Uh, I'll do as exercise one. Okay. Yes. Then I'll give name as exercise one. Okay. Therefore, just click on save. Now it is saved as exercise one. Remember, we only save this file, okay, as an ArcMap extension file. It's not actually a file which is exported in terms of shapefile or other format, which we are going to add later on, like the previous one. But we just do what we did here is just we saved a file in terms of ArcMap extension file. Therefore, it's not a file that um, as long as you have the files that you have been working on in your computer, therefore you can exactly or directly open the file from this computer. But uh, if the computer is changed, by the way, we are not going to use this file as some sort of stable file so that you can use some sort of thumb drive or flash drive and copy this file and open on the other computer. So no, you can't do that because it's just a very simple file of ArcMap which actually allows you to open a file already existing on your computer very easily, meaning it's not actually a file that you are going to add like shape file or image file, but it's a file which you can easily access or continue from where you have stopped when you come back sometime, okay, after you finish your job. Therefore, by this, I thank you for your first attendance of this video. I hope you'll find this introductory part of ArcGIS interesting, so that based on your feedback and uh, based on your feedback and some information, I will present the next videos in which we are going to start with georeferencing and some data manipulations. And of course, in the next video, I'm going to show you how we can georeference file uh, onto ArcMap. Just to give you a heads up, georeferencing is just like introducing GIS into an unknown location. Okay, as I told you before, GIS doesn't understand locations by their name. GIS only understands geographic objects by their coordinates. Therefore, for example, you might have some satellite image or high definition recently captured satellite image or any image of your own. And if you just want to add some geographic information so that GIS will understand, therefore the procedures that you need to employ is called georeferencing. We do have different methods of georeferencing, uh, from just inserting or direct coordinate systems to just matching up with the other georeferenced image. Therefore, I'll demonstrate for you by the next uh, coming videos. Okay, thank you so much. Hope you'll enjoy this introductory video. Bye then.